there are a few things that we added in this release. One of them is the ability to, so I'm just going to go through them and I'll kind of talk about each feature for a little bit, and then happy to take questions or clarifications about how these features work. So something that we added in this release 3.6 is the bulk editing ability for products. We're planning to add more bulk editing ability for other parts of the platform down the line. Right now, it's limited to products. If you go into your products page on your dashboard and you select more than one product, or you can also click the green square at the top of the product in the header. Thanks, Eric. And that will select all. A edit multiple box will appear in the center top of the screen. And if you click on that edit multiple box, you'll see all of the different ways that you can edit multiple products at once. So the idea behind this feature is to make the changes that you need to make much easier and faster and more efficient on GrownBy. And yeah, so that's the basics of the feature, and I'm happy to, if there are any comments about this, or if you've used it or you have any questions, we're happy to address them now.
I just thought this is really useful if you have set up your shop and maybe you have a ton of products and then you add a new location or a new drop off or something like that, and you want to add that schedule to all of the products you have available. This is like would take like 4 clicks as opposed to hundreds potentially.
So how does the edit multiple button show up?
It shows up anytime there's more than one product selected.
Okay, cool. Sweet.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And something else I just want to say this is not related to bulk editing, but it is related to editing in bulk. When you're adding products on GrownBy, some of you may already know this, but there's a copy function that's under the actions menu on the far right-hand side of the product screen. And so if you've made a product and you want to make another product that's actually pretty similar to the one that you've made, or even if it's just on the same schedules, it could save you a number of clicks if you copy the product and then edit the copy and then proceed that way. So when I'm adding a bunch of products at once, that's how I usually do it, is I use the copy function a lot. So just wanted to mention that in case someone doesn't know.
And to add one more detail about this is that a couple of releases ago, we added an export to products, which includes most of these columns. So that's just a really good way if you've added a bunch of stuff or you've made a bunch of changes to just double check your work and look through there and see that everything you wanted is edited correctly.
Awesome. Any other questions, comments, clarifications about this feature? All right. So this is a quick one to go over, but I think a pretty important one. We're in the process of adding readable or changing all of our URLs from unreadable URLs, which were kind of like letters and numbers, to readable URLs. So your farm will have a really clear readable URL, and in the future, in the not too distant future, products and everything across the shop will have readable URLs that are really easy to know where you are on the site. I saw a question from Bob, and applause. Thank you, Bob. What was your question?
No, I just clicked the wrong thing. I didn't know.
Oh, okay.
I'm a Zoom guy. I'm not a Microsoft Meet guy. So
yeah, I know. It's a whole thing to change platforms. I'm glad that that's met with approval. But yeah,
No, well, this is really, really, really helpful. So thank you for doing this. This is really great.
you're
Having,
welcome.
because people are saying, "What's your website?" And I used to say, "Well, we don't have a website, right?" So we have a site, but it's not a website. But now I can tell people there's a website.
Yeah, totally. It makes it a lot easier. Other questions, comments? Kara, do you have anything to add on this? Pretty straightforward. And like I said, we're going to be adding more in the future. So this is just the first part of it, is getting the farms up as readable URLs. So some of you may have mentioned or may have noticed this already, because we're, at this point, I guess almost a month into the 3.6 release. But we've changed the way that the cart flow works. So previously there was a schedule at location screen, and you would choose both at the same time. Now there's two different screens in the checkout flow. So, and I think this is a lot clearer, and you all, I'd love to hear feedback from you all about this, but the first thing that you select, or that customers select, shoppers select, is the location, and then the second thing they select is the schedule. In the case that there's only one location or one schedule, then one of the steps is just advanced through automatically. But this is a change in how the checkout flow looks for customers, and we hope one that helps to make it clearer to customers what they're signing up for. So when you make a schedule, right, there's a location that's attached to it. Every schedule has a location that's connected with it, and you can set up those schedules in lots of different ways. You can set them up as only the next available date being ordered for, or you can set them up as, a 10-year long schedule, and then you could limit your product availability within that if you wanted to. So, yeah, there's a lot of flexibility in there. Is there a specific thing that you're trying to accomplish, Sharon, that you're not figuring out?
Well, it's just like, okay, I'm okay with everything being available at the farm. But then I go to farmers markets, and
Right.
it's okay for them to be available, but it's like, okay, I need to know at least a couple of days beforehand that they're ordering. So I have to have a cutoff date. And I understand that part. But then people get confused too. That's a few other things that I ran into last year. And so I'm trying to figure it all out before we really start hitting all these markets. And right now I'm only on one, so it's not so hard. But when I start to do 4 and 5, then it's like I've got to have something, that it's in my head, right, so I can explain it to them. So I don't know how the easy way to do that, I guess.
With farmers markets too, you probably only have one schedule associated with the location.
Yes.
Because you just, like, if it's the Grant Street Farmers Market, it's just Saturday mornings from this time to this time. So
Yes.
the customer, if they were in here and there was this screen, they would click on that first upper left, and they would click on Grant Street, and then there wouldn't even be a schedule option. It would just be the next day that Grant Street is open.
Gotcha. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So it's like a little bit streamlined.
Okay.
And if Grant Street had like a Tuesday market and a Saturday market, then they would show up like Tuesday and Saturday, and then the customer would choose the one they wanted.
Gotcha.
And if they don't choose, if they're like trying to do it after the cutoff time, it will be the following week.
Gotcha. And I think that's where a couple of people got hung up this fall, but that's okay. I mean, I think we figured that one out.
Yeah, and we're always happy to look through your shop with you, or look through your shop and email you back. If you're like, did I do this right? Which
I say that a lot.
I'm going to move on to these other changes that we made in this release. So there are 3 things listed here. Of course, there are a lot well, I shouldn't say of course, but the reality of software development is that there are a lot of changes that are happening all the time. And a lot of those changes are things that we do to make the platform more stable, or ways that we fix bugs that show up and that either farmers report or we notice. So when there is a release, often there's a lot of stuff that isn't necessarily visible. It's stuff that speeds up the platform or makes it work a little bit better in different ways. So anyway, just to say, these are the changes that are visible. The first thing on this list is CSA group formatting. So previously, when a customer went into a CSA group for your farm and they were on your shop, the images were below the text that was the description of the CSA group. And we decided that from a kind of user experience perspective, it was actually a lot nicer to have the images at the top. Usually when people are met with blocks of text on the internet, their eyes kind of tend to glaze over and they scroll past it. So we just changed that to hopefully provide a better user experience on the shop. Another kind of small but I think important change, especially for some farmers, is that now you can make your coupons and your promotions only work for specific categories or producers. And part of the reason that we built this is because for Snap for farmers who are selling things via Snap, you can have a category for products that are specifically Snap eligible, and you can offer a certain promotion on those products. And that promotion will only work for products that you've decided are eligible for that promotion. So Snap obviously is one nutrition incentive program, but there's also Double Up Bucks, and every state has their own nutrition incentive programs. And often farms are offering different discounts than one another and different discounts on different things in order to abide by the rules of these programs. And so you could have a promotion that only applies to vegetables. You could have a promotion that only applies to things that you produce on your farm. You could have a promotion that only applies to certain categories or certain products that you put into any category. So the hope there is just that this will make dealing with and setting up your shop for nutrition incentive programs work a little bit better.